of the game. It's a rich thing.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This one's an update. So this is an update on two jobs. So we've got an update from the UK. We've got an update from Dominica. So this is the boys down. You can see this is the first room that they had skimmed. It's all nice and dry. That room is pretty much ready for finishing now. Here's the upstairs bathroom as well, which they skimmed the other day, last week I think, and now it's nice and dry as well. You can see the boys have been doing the hallway as well now. Electricians putting some extra lights in here. It used to just be one light doing the whole entrance or landing, should I say. I think we've got about 4 lights there now. And yeah, you can see the wiring for it there. We've got smoke detectors and stuff like that now. This is the new petition the boys made, straightened it all out, all the crooked petitions. The kitchen, which they've been working on as well. I think we've got one more wall to skim in the kitchen. And then obviously that back wall as well, once we sort out the window situation, the boiler and so on. Just a little bit more skimming to do in here. All the lights have been done. And so yeah, massive hallway. Obviously the boys have skimmed the wall all the way down to the first floor. So moving downstairs now, they're already working downstairs, but the big hallways and landings, which are massive, are mostly done. You can see this side here as well is done. Still got to take that cabinet out of the corner. This is the one of the other big rooms upstairs, which has been done. You can see this cupboard here. We had to board it in plasterboard because it had some sort of plywood on it or something. So we wrapped it in plasterboard, and you can see the boys are skimming it as well on that last wall on the window. So this room is almost finished as well. All the sockets are done in here as well, and they will run cabling. And then this is the other large room that has been done as well. It's just a little bit filling to do on some of those larger cracks that were bonded. And otherwise this room is pretty much done and ready to go as well. So places are looking good. I can imagine what it's going to look like when it's all painted.
Huh?
So again,
No,
downstairs
good
now
stuff.
Where the boys are now. They're all working
Thanks,
downstairs. Got Tristan back as well, so he's been doing mostly hallways and stuff like that. Boys have taken the old cupboard out of the corner here as well. So a little bit of skimming to do on the hallway here as well. Yeah, you can see what it's looking like. It's drying out nicely as well. Electrician is still here. He's doing cabling on the first floor. He's just finishing off the sockets. So he's there now doing that. So you can see where he's got the floorboards up here. He's just running some cables for the sockets. The boys have been working on plasterboarding and bonding bad areas. You can see they've been bonding around the sockets. They've been bonding around the ceiling edges where they've been damaged and so on from pulling out the old ceilings. So they're just getting everything prepped so that they can start skimming those rooms. Bit of plasterboard in here as well in the bathroom. They've ripped the old bathroom out, and as you can see, a plasterboard in. Everything's going to get skimmed as well in those spaces. So and tiles. So you can see they're putting some plasterboard in here as well. Again, they've fixed the door frames as well. So everything's nice and straight now. And then this large room at the back, which was a lot of damage, is also been prepped with plasterboard. So now we're back to me. So this is what I've been doing on this quick little job. I think this is day 2 and day 3. I'm just preparing to install these acoustic panels behind the TV. So I took the TV off. That was frightening doing it on my own. And I'm just taking these face plates off, which are basically, there's some conduits that are run up to the back of the TV so you can pull in HDMI cables and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just measuring to mark out the cuts for these holes as well, so that I can put them or glue these to the wall. So I'll cut these out, then I'll glue them in, then I can put the face plates back on. So you can see I'm using some extra strong adhesive here, and basically just sticking them on. So you can screw these on. We went against screwing them because it's just neater this way, I guess. Hopefully the glue will work, but obviously you've got the option of putting screws in later if you wanted to. But I thought the glue in it would probably look the best.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video back. This is day 3. So you saw a little bit of clips of day 2. It was a hot day, mad. I just had a lot to do, so I didn't do much filming, but I was gonna go through what I did yesterday, one of the issues I came up with, and of one of the bits that I had done before. This is just dealing with all these different types of materials and stuff that I'm not used to. So I've got to change something, which is a quick job, but I'm going to show you what it is, and I'll show you guys what I've got left to do. So we start with here. One of the jobs I did yesterday, you guys can probably see, I had loads of things here just holding this up for me, just how I want it. I've glued this stuff to the wall basically, so I'll be taking all this stuff away, and then hopefully this stuff is glued. I think it is. It's glued to the wall, which is good. So it just took a long time for the adhesive to dry, so I had to put some things just to make sure it was really holding onto the wall. But it seems like it's glued nicely. So I need to put the sockets back on. I'm struggling to get longer screws because I need longer screws now. Some of these things are just not as easy to get as I'm so used to just picking them up from everywhere. So I'm going to see if I can get those longer machine screws for the sockets to put on there. So that's done. That's one job done. In the bathroom, had some challenges, so I'm going to revisit this today with the drawer. So you guys can probably see I actually had cut a piece of the drawer off and made it shorter so that it wouldn't hit this. Now, one of the things I didn't notice when I was doing it, which I noticed when I was trying to put it back together, is if you guys look at the back of this cabinet, the way this hinge, the way the runner works on this, see there's a little hole in the back here. That hole here has to go get this little thing slots into that hole at the back, and that's what secures the back of the cabinet. Or the drawer, sorry, is what secures the back down. So it slides into that, and then these parts lock in. That goes into a hole which is underneath. You can see it under there, goes into that hole. And then you've got this little locking pin here that slides into the side. On the inside here, there's another hole. So all these holes have to line up. So these two line up, but now because it's too short, the back stops about here. So it can't lock into that. So I've got to figure out some way to support the back, because otherwise it goes on and closes, but because there's nothing secure in the back, it tips. So what I tried to do was to make a little hole here. So one of the things I tried yesterday, and put a screw down there and screw it down into here. The problem with that is there's so little tolerance on the inside that the screw, even when the screw was filed down, it just still kept on catching on here, so it just wouldn't work. So I had to give up on that. So I got to think of some way to secure the back down to this, whether I add a piece of timber to the back of the back here somewhere, a block of timber or something, and that can have a hole that goes into there maybe, I'm not sure. But this is lower down on my list of things. So that's that. And obviously once I figure this one out, I should be able to do this one easily. I noticed that these hadn't been silicone, that hadn't been screwed down tight. So, because there was, you can see that someone had put that in to catch water. So that's another thing sorted. I worked on the shower screen yesterday, which was a big job, just finding all the bits. There's a slight issue with it, which I've explained to the owners, and he's cool with it. It is what it is, what we've got to work with. Now, this is one of the mistakes the builders made. Not fully planning and thinking it through. So you see the guys, they basically made this stud wall here. It's probably timber, it is timber because when I screwed through it was hollow. So they've built this out so that they can build that little inset inside here, right? Problem is, what they've done is from that end of the wall to that end of the wall, they've measured that, and then they put the inset in the middle of that wall, when really they should have put the inset in the middle of the shower. So you guys can see this side, you've got a bit of tile on the side here, and this side is right on the edge, literally right on the edge here. And that's me putting this here, which is the closest that I could put it this way. Because obviously this, I'm limited in the width of this glass. I've put it out as far as I can, out this way and that way. That's as far as I can bring it over. Now, if you look here, it's not too obvious, but I know it. I think we've got about, I'm not gonna take measure, but I would say we've got about 2.5 centimeters there. And then we've got about 1.5, 1 3/4 down there. So it slightly tapers off to the left a bit. But I had to pull that out a little bit just to get it to go past, just to line up on the edge. If I put it in the same place as this, then this would have been further in, and there would have been a gap here, which would obviously be a problem to silicone down here. So I had explained that, and they're cool with it. But otherwise, this is all done. It's just one or two things I need to do. I need to put these little caps on, the caps that go on the screws, pop those caps on, and then I need to screw the bump stops on. There's a rubber bump stop, that when you run that, and the rubber bump stop. But otherwise, it's all done, it's all level, it all closes properly. There's a magnet on here. It's all good. So that's all done. So that is pretty much done. Now, another job, well, I started yesterday, which wasn't as straightforward, and nothing is straightforward, is I started putting these splashbacks. So you guys can see I've put in the first one at the back. Now I cut it and everything, then I realized that this wouldn't allow me to get it in. I couldn't get it over, and I couldn't get it in at an angle because this, so I just couldn't get it in because it was sitting on this, which is causing it to be too high. So I have to literally drop it in down at an angle like that, and then push, and then sort of push the top in nice and tight. So I had to disconnect the plumbing for that. I had to take the sink tap out and everything, put that in, put the sink tap back in, connect it back up. So that was another drama. So first job I'm doing today is working on the rest of that and get that out of there. So I think that's most of the stuff that I did yesterday, I think. Now, came up with an issue here. And you guys can see I had to go and pick up a few little fittings and stuff, and a little bit of pipe as well. If you guys might remember how I did this the last time, if I can get this off, let me see. So trying to find a way to get because I couldn't get a Y splitter. You just don't sell these things. I would normally just use one of those Y splitters that goes on the end of the tap. Now, this is not the typical thing that I'm used to using for a machine tap, but this is what everyone uses for washing machines. A lot of the time the washing machines are outside in a lot of houses as well. These go outside, and you connect your washing machine pipe onto this thread, and this is the correct thread. So you can see the thread is quite wide. Okay, now this thread is a lot thinner, which I didn't notice. So you can see one is a bit wider. So even though it's screwed on, this, which has the wider thread, is screwed on, it was nice and tight, there was no leaks. Yesterday while I was here, just before I finished, I left here about 9 o'clock, after 9 yesterday. Just before I finished, this started, I could hear sound, and this had been working its way up, the pressure, and it started leaking. So this would have failed basically. So I do have to take this off. It's just not going to work. It's not safe because the pressure was moving it, and eventually it would have just popped off. So I have to go back to the drawing board and go back to these. So this is a different thread. The thread is a lot thinner, as I said. So what I'm going to have to do is screw one of these on here, get a bit of pipe, put a T on it like this, a bit of pipe, and put an elbow like that. And these elbows have actually a metal insert. And then when I put the elbow on it, then I've got to screw this into that, and then I've got to have the tap like this. And that is the only way that you can do this, because the only connections they have for the machines are these. They don't have the normal sort of straight valves that I use in the UK. So I've got to do a little bit of work. It's quite easy. So I'm going to go thread this on, put a little bit of tape on it, thread it on, cut some pipe, make a T, make a tap, there'll be 2 taps sticking out here, and then they'll go in, one will go into that tap and one will go into the other tap, and then that should be good and we shouldn't have any issues. So I'm going to do that now. Once I'm done, I'll come back and show you guys. All right guys, so here we go. This is what it looks like. It looks like a tap underneath a tap. So that's basically, yeah, this is, as I said, this is your typical washing machine setup. So what I've done is I put this new adapter on here, glue a bit of pipe there, put a T there, a bit there, elbow with some tape in there as well. Screw these in nice and tight. Then I have to screw these in nice and tight, so they don't move in. They're nice and tight. I use the wrench to tighten these. It's getting them ready.
So this is pretty much it, guys. This is what I managed to get done. You can see all the splashbacks are all done. That was tough work trying to cut these things. They're really, really tough going through blades and stuff. But I managed to cut them all, and they're all being glued and bonded to the wall. So it's looking nice. Everything just needs siliconing up now. So we've left that for the person who's going to do the finishing off. Also, I managed to get the dishwasher door on. The washing machine door I couldn't get on because the door that they got is a standard door and the hinges don't line up. So it can be modified, but I don't have the tools to cut it out. So I've left that for someone else to do. Then they'll be able to get that door on, and that will close up the washing area. And also, as you guys can see, I put the TV back on the wall. Everything's connected up. So that is me, guys, done. Now I'm wrapping up to come back to the UK. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Till then, see you soon.